BB851, turn right, heading 180. Order 14 Papa, turn right 245, report localizer established 27.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Aviation News Weekly. As always, thank you very much for your continued support that you do show me on this series. It's truly appreciated. Today's video is sponsored by Dashlane. More on that a little bit later. As always for these videos, there will be a pinned comment that will house all the stories that will be covered today. This means that you can navigate to that pinned comment and pick a story that you're interested in with ease. Of course, I would appreciate it if you did watch the entire video, but I do know that this isn't always possible, so the pinned comment is the best place for your viewing efficiency. We begin with Air New Zealand, who last week announced that they would be welcoming on 8 Boeing 787-10s in the future, and this aircraft would be used for their long-haul operations, with the type slated to replace their aging 777-200 ERs. While I have covered the agreement specifically in a video, it would appear that the airline is now eyeing a non-stop flight from Auckland to New York as they try to attract a different type of demographic to New Zealand. Air New Zealand calls this the high-end market. New York is so firmly on the radar of Air New Zealand that they actually indeed structured their entire 787-10 selection and overall aircraft tally for these New York services. The first 787-10 is expected to arrive in late 2022. With the arrival of the 787-10, Christopher Luxon has also come out and said that they will be reconfiguring their 787s in 2022 to allow the airline to fit more business and overall premium seats on their aircraft. This further hints at the ambition to fly these long-haul services to the likes of New York, the far corners of Asia, and a whole lot more. Air New Zealand, though, still needs to assess the overall demand for the flights from Auckland to New York, but through removing seats and ultimately passengers from the cabin, they'd save a considerable amount of fuel and overall be better placed to operate these services. Although without a doubt, as time progresses, we'll begin to learn more about whether or not Air New Zealand sees the demand to launch these services with their Dreamliner. Until then, we just have to wait some 3 years for the 787-10 to finally arrive. In some news regarding Flybe, the CEO has announced that she will step down, and also the carrier has announced some major changes for its winter schedule, including the removal of select services. We begin though with their CEO, who has come out and said she will be stepping down in July. Taking the job over 2 years ago, she confirmed that it was a privilege and a great experience to run Flybe. However, given the current state of the airline, including the losses, and now also the Virgin Atlantic deal, and more, she believes that it's time to step down. A new CEO will be coming in and, according to her, be able to change Flybe to what they deem is best to help ensure the operations with the airline can continue for a very long time. Without the likes of Virgin Atlantic and more, Flybe would have gone bankrupt. The carrier has also announced that for its winter schedule, which will begin in October of this year, they'll also be cutting routes from Cardiff. This includes Rome, Venice, Munich, Berlin, and Verona, to just name a few. This is, though, the result of the new owners of Flybe coming in and announcing that Cardiff would no longer act as a base for the airline. We now move on to the constant development surrounding the Boeing 737 MAX series and its pending return into the aviation world. In the past week, and following my video where I did discuss how the type had no firm return date, we've had more and more people, regulators, and more close to the matter come out and detail when they see the type returning to the skies and when it will be safe. However, it is safe to say that the reports are nothing short of conflicting once again, giving us one side to the story which seems to have so many sides now. We begin though with US regulators, who have played a crucial role in the aftermath of the 737 MAX in America. They've openly stated that they see the 737 MAX returning to the skies by June, which is this month. This is according to Reuters and sources close to the matter, who have said that the US regulators have already been informed that the FAA will approve the 737 MAX's return to the skies as late as June. While this is the absolute best case scenario for the likes of American Airlines, United Airlines, and Southwest, who will have their aircraft available for the busy summer schedule, it's not been confirmed by Boeing or the FAA, and when I go over my next story, you'll definitely be able to see why it would appear a date is still not confirmed at this time. Following on from this, it was revealed by the head of the very important International Air Transport Association, or IATA, that the MAX would likely not return to service before at least August. This again contradicts what US regulators were saying regarding an entry into service as early as late June. While the IATA openly said that it's likely it won't return before August. They said that ultimately the decision on when to introduce the type back into service would be based on regulators and obviously their thoughts on the 737 MAX's safety with passengers. In fact, the exact estimate that the IATA head said was 10 to 12 weeks from now. If you see, just from these two stories alone, despite being published in close proximity to each other, the verdict on when the 737 MAX will begin flying with customers across the world is still very much unknown. It would appear that as every week passes and the MAX is still grounded, while we do get closer to its eventual return, news stories, quotes, and also reports emerge by one source only to be debunked by someone else. As the weekend approaches, it certainly gets a lot more quiet, but at the start of a new week, it's already back up and running. It makes predicting this sort of thing absolutely impossible. One thing we do know is that the FAA will not be rushing the approval of the software fix, as they have confirmed that they're not on any set timetable and can therefore take their time to make sure that the plane is completely safe by the time it enters back into the skies. Continuing on with the Boeing 737 MAX, United has now officially come out and announced that they'll be seeking compensation directly from Boeing following the 737 MAX groundings, which have now been in effect for almost 3 months. Unlike some other carriers, the CEO of United has said that their first priority is to work to get the plane back in the skies. When they can do that successfully, they'll further pursue compensation and hope that it will be delivered over time. United do not actually fly the MAX 8, which was the type that was involved in the 2 incidents. So when ET302 occurred, they kept flying until the FAA and Boeing issued a worldwide grounding for the entire series rather than just the variant which had the problems. Now, a word from the sponsor. Dashlane is one of those applications that as a travel and also aviation enthusiast, I just need, and so should you. Dashlane is an app that secures all your personal login information. As travel enthusiasts, an application like Dashlane means you don't have to carry around a book full of passwords or even try remembering all the passwords to your various airline and airport accounts. You can store all that information on Dashlane, as well as credit card information, banking information, and secure notes. When you're in a rush to buy a flight, Dashlane is there to provide you with all the necessary information at a moment's notice, with an autofill feature. Is it safe though? Well, Dashlane uses a master password to encrypt all of your data, so only you know the password. It's not stored on servers. This allows you to be safe knowing even if Dashlane gets hacked, your information won't. Plus, there's a VPN, so you can access content in any country that would otherwise have been blocked. With a rating of 4.8 in the App Store, it's highly recommended. So download Dashlane today, and as viewers of my channel, get it for free for life on your first device at dashlane.com/aviation. And if you decide you want to download it on another device, you can use the code AVIATION to get 10% off. Thank you so much to Dashlane for sponsoring this video, and thank you all very much for watching another one of these Aviation News Weekly videos. I hope you all have been enjoying the content, and as always, I appreciate every single one of you that tunes in on a daily basis and makes what I do possible. It is truly appreciated. As always, if you're interested in watching more videos here on the channel, you're more than welcome to also subscribe. If you have enjoyed this installment of Aviation News Weekly, do feel free to drop a like. While it certainly doesn't do a whole lot, it just helps me get a gauge for what your enjoyment of the series is and or videos, so I know which ones to continue making and which ones to steer clear of. So thank you very much. I do look forward to you all joining me in the next one.